Okay, the Shipibo-Konibo, they live in the Peruvian part of the Amazon. It's lowland, it's rainforest, and the big river, the Ucayali River, that's an affluent to the Amazon. And it's about 40 or 50,000 people who actually consider themselves Shipibo-Konibo. And well, they're very famous for the artwork because they use very special designs, patterns on their textiles and the ceramics and so on. And that's why they were famous among the Peruvian indigenous groups, and also because of ayahuasca, of course. And they are very easily accessible. You can fly into the territory by plane or by bus, and you won't fly by bus, but you ride by bus, and you can get there very easily. So that's why they are very famous among other groups that are not as easily accessible. And usually they live in villages on the river, and some kind of family communities. And they live on fishing, and mainly fishing, and growing some crops like bananas and so on, and going hunting. And they still rely on this, but they sell some of it to get some money, and for buying the stuff like soap and sugar and salt and radios or whatever they get from Western civilization, so to say. And what's interesting to know when talking about the use of plants is that they perceive the world as being inhabited by many human beings. They are human beings, and their language they say for themselves, Nuahoniko, that means we the real people. And that does not mean that other people are not real people, but it means that all inhabitants of the world consider themselves people. Not only other indigenous groups or white people or whatever, but also animals and even trees and plants, and even to some extent rivers and mountains and so on. They are considered being active, conscious people. And that, for example, animals like the whatever animal, like pigs living in the woodlands, they think that they are human beings, and they perceive the world as they are the humans and others are other humans. Yeah, and that's very interesting because that makes it possible to have social relations with animals or plants. And it's also ecologically, it's very interesting because those beings are considered to be conscious of themselves, and not like in the West where we say, well, a tree is just wood. But they say, okay, they can think, they can do anything.
Okay, so if you come to Ayasqueros, the healers, probably it's very heterogenic. Of course, there is a lot of charlatans, but who is chosen, or who can become a real shaman, a real healer, and what kind of a process does he needs to go through to become a shaman?
Yes, well, anybody can.
Anybody can become a shaman in that.
If you want to, you could do the training, yeah. And the training consists of what they call diets, retreat into the woods alone or something, or inside their home alone, and they only eat very small fish and bananas, and somehow they try to behave like plants without eating a lot of stuff, and without social relation to other humans, and no sex, the most important things, no sex. And there they ingest some plant extracts, but not psychoactive plants that, for example, extract from certain tree barks or something. And within the diet they learn how to contact those plant people. And the diets should be very long, for example 1 or 2 years. In total you should have about 5, 6, 7 years of diets to be really able to understand and contact those other beings that will, and understand how they interact with each other and with people and so on. That's a very, very difficult process. So many people may start this process and give it up. And you can't really distinguish between they call the people medicos, like doctors, yeah, and normal people, so to say, because almost anybody in the Amazon does some diets. There are also diets to become a good hunter, or diets to become a good artist, or anything like this, and you can't really distinguish who has done some diets to be a good hunter, and you also know how to contact those beings, and the other one who has dieted to become a healer. It's not really easy to distinguish. So it's not like a profession to be a healer. It's a process. At some points, if you have a lot of diets done, you'll be able to contact those beings, and you'll be able to do the medical work with them.
Now, ayahuasca is, well, one of the most famous things when you think about those tribes, but probably tobacco would be a good starting point.
Yes.
Better than ayahuasca.
Yes, for sure. Tobacco is much more important, and its use is probably much older among those tribes. In the Peruvian Amazon, probably they started about 100 or 200 years ago in the Ucayali Valley to use ayahuasca. It's not some millenarian thing that's usually said about it. And before and still they use tobacco a lot. For example, in the neighboring tribe, the Ashaninka, the medicos are called Shiripiari in their language. That means those who drink tobacco. And in many tribes they have the names for those people, like those who use tobacco, or tobacco drinker or something. And there's nothing about ayahuasca, but everything is connected to tobacco. And they usually make an extract of tobacco juice, and they swallow it or drink it or lick this really black tobacco extract. They lick it and they use it as a plant that opens contact to many beings. It's considered more powerful and more important than ayahuasca. And they also use it in every ritual. They smoke tobacco or sometimes drink tobacco. For example, there's kind of medicos who extract objects from the patient's bodies by sucking, like and before they drink tobacco and throw up some substance they contain in their chest, a slimy substance, into their mouth, and then they suck out those magical darts or magical objects, and they catch it up with this substance and they can show it to the people, and that's very interesting. And it works with tobacco. They don't drink ayahuasca. So most of the medical work among the indigenous people, among themselves, without tourists and Westerners, they use tobacco, and they use many different plants, like medicaments. They give plant extract to drink to the patients, and the patients also have to do some diet with that plant, and so the plant people can work with the patients and so on. It's a highly interesting thing, and ayahuasca is just one very little part of it.
Which we made a very big part for them.
Yeah.
So okay, let's talk about ayahuasca. What kind of